Millions of dollars in local infrastructure, livelihoods, and a vacation destination. Thousands call it home, and they're saved by a threat that's only getting bigger as we speak.
Erosion is steadily swallowing the ocean shore's coastline, quickly trumping mitigation efforts. Fox 13's Lauren Donovan spoke with the people tasked with finding a solution before a beloved community is lost.
Proximity to the ocean pulls thousands to live and visit ocean shores, but it's that very draw that could wipe this place from the map. Aerial footage from the past 40 years documents the disappearance of the coastline. Just watch as the waves eat away at the bay here. Now, the Army Corps of Engineers construction of the North Jetty, you see it circled in red. That changed everything, and now Ocean Shore City leaders are racing against time to find a solution.
We held our breath, storm after storm after storm.
When you make the coastline your home, you live at its mercy.
We've gotten a mulligan year after year. We haven't had the significant storm events that I experienced early in my career. If we have a 2006 storm hit this shoreline today, those houses behind you are going to suffer damage. There's no doubt in my mind.
The town with ocean in its name, the seaside city boasting its bond to the surf, is being eaten away by it. And Ocean Shore City leaders like Marshall Reed certainly don't have their heads in the sand about this reality.
We are 15 to 20 years behind what has occurred out at Washaway Beach.
A nickname for the ill-fated community of North Cove that is no more. Settled back in 1854 at the mouth of nearby Willapa Bay. As the decades passed, swells swallowed homes, stealing lighthouses and livelihoods in a single gulp.
It's been an ongoing problem for the last 20, 25 years.
Engineers with the Army Corps tell me erosion's always posed a risk to waterfront homeowners.
But this year it kind of hit the head where there was a bunch of properties and the roadway and the water tower that was nearby that was kind of right on the edge of getting impacted.
This past winter, after waves stole somewhere between 30 to 40 yards of shoreline, city crews scrambled to protect jeopardized property, as well as their precious water supply. Marshall Reed led the efforts to build what he calls a sacrificial berm. Excavators on the defense moved mountains of sand.
And we had crews out here in the middle of the night plugging holes in the berm and trying to deliver more sand and get things to where they were stable.
With the Army Corps' help, they laid these one-ton super sacks. But as you can see, even those were eclipsed by the swells.
So if we were standing here, we would be underwater.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Erosion is a natural occurrence, but human tinkering had a hand in what's happening here. The North Jetty, to be exact. Erected by the Army Corps as a breakwater to protect commercial vessels sailing into Grays Harbor, the design came with unintended consequences.
Everything we do in the shoreline has an impact, whether it be to a clam, a shellfish, a snowy plover, to the salmon migration in and out of the harbor. From 1977, if you look at the sheer volume of the sand that's in this area, we're talking about millions and millions of cubic yards of material that have migrated out of Oyhut Bay to somewhere into the harbor.
Today, an Army Corps dredge travels up and down the channel, refusing to let any of that drifted sediment sit, or vessels will run aground. Human engineering is okay with course-correcting that, but they won't touch other byproducts of this rocky barrier.
And this land that we're standing on is all deposited sand that came from the inlet.
It's wild to think a decade ago, this stretch of beach, teeming with visitors, popular with developers, was non-existent. Homeowners looking out their balconies know this fortification will keep the whitecaps at bay. A stark contrast to the first beach we showed you, where properties are just trying not to take on water.
If you came here during a period where you're not experiencing a strong series of storm seasons, then yes, it might create that sense that the hazard is not as serious as it is.
After the indigenous tribes, the first white settlers in this area were ranchers. There was a boom in the 60s with many homeowners locking down lots sight unseen.
That is absolutely something we see all the time within emergency management, is the need for education and preparing people for what is happening today is not your worst case scenario necessarily, and so that is what you should be preparing for.
Regardless of what they knew or didn't know at the time of purchase, the threat is real. Marshall seems to believe a solution lies offshore in the skeleton of an old relic jetty erected by the Corps more than a century ago.
If I had $60 million to throw at the project, I would just say rebuild that jetty and we'll be done with it for another 70 years.
Marshall acknowledges permitting presents its own challenges, but he sees a mutually advantageous deal for both the city and the Corps. By protecting this shoreline, less sand will drift into the inlet, making work for the dredge.
There's no immediate plans to restore that jetty to its original height, which is unfortunate because that means we have to do something more near shore to prevent further retreat of the shorelines.
The longtime city employee has his fingers crossed a solution presents itself fast.
Because this winter, we're either going to succeed or we're going to fail big. We're not at a point where we can make a mistake now.
No plans are in the works to restore the jetty to its original height. Marshall tells Fox 13 News because of that, a solution will need to happen closer to shore. And that's a possibility he calls unfortunate. We're going to stay on top of this and continue to follow up and see if anybody's listening to his idea. $60 million is not that much money. If you can get some federal money or some more government funds in there to save that beach.